You've heard Suge Knight's jaw-dropping claims about Sean Combs. Now Usher and Justin Bieber are teaming up to pull back the curtain on what happened when they were just kids in his world. Knight told Michael Frenzy in prison that Diddy sent a young Justin on romantic vacations with grown men and showed Instagram photos with no one else around. He called it the saddest thing he'd ever seen, words that cut deep because they came from someone who knew Diddy's world inside out, and because they involved two of the biggest names in music finally speaking out together. We'll walk you through key evidence, play the raw clips that never made headlines, and piece together the timeline from those brief early days. We'll let their own words lead the way and show how two bright young talents got caught up in something far darker than fame.
Alright, Usher, Justin Bieber, Diddy. This is how they all connect. When Usher was super young, he got signed to a guy named L.A. Reid, this famous music executive. Usher then loses his voice. L.A. Reid wants to help him, get back on track, so he sends him over to this guy named Puff Daddy. And as you can imagine, Usher had a problem. He just didn't know it yet. See, Puff Daddy was this up-and-coming music executive who could really turn someone into a star. He put them through this thing called Flavor Camp. And during Usher's term in this Flavor Camp, he lived with Puff. And in Usher's words, he would see questionable things. He said at any given time, you can open the door and see a bunch of random people playing Netflix. He said he would be up all night partying when all he really wanted to do was go to the studio. And this is when people speculate that Diddy did something to Usher. Now, I need you to listen to me. I'm gonna give you the evidence as to why people believe this, but until you hear words from Usher, Diddy, Justin Bieber, nobody knows anything. All right, so Diddy and Usher are in an interview with Kevin Hart. Diddy said, "Hey, yo, pause. When Usher used to live with me, we used to wrestle for Frosted Flakes." Kevin Hart said, "What?" Diddy said, and he grabs Kevin Hart and pulls him off camera because Kevin Hart doesn't have a filter. After Diddy's Flavor Camp, Usher comes out with an album called Usher. It has really explicit details about watching Netflix. And of course, the album was executively produced by Puff Daddy. His mom was like, "Yo, what the?" So she grabs Usher. You got former bodyguards coming out saying, yeah, Diddy was very inappropriate with Usher. There's a rumor that Usher got sent to the hospital because of an encounter with Diddy. In fact, rumors have been circulating for like 20 years about this situation. Which brings us to Usher and Justin Bieber. See, Justin Bieber was coming up in the same way Usher was, like when he was super young. L.A. Reid again found Justin Bieber. Usher and Justin Timberlake both wanted to sign Bieber, but Bieber chooses Usher, and Usher basically becomes a mentor. Now, Usher then sends a young Bieber to Diddy for 48 hours. And in this interview, Diddy's saying stuff like, "Man, Justin is doing things that any 15-year-old would dream of doing." And the thing that's always kind of annoyed me about Diddy personally is he's always towing this imaginary line in interviews. Because of his ego, he has been snitching on himself in interviews. If you listen, he'll say something like, "Justin be having a really good time with me." If no one acknowledges it, he'll be like, "But I can't say too much."
One person that know what the saddest thing in the world is what they did to Justin Bieber.
What was that?
That's sad.
What'd they do to him? Because there's a lot of speculation out there, but nobody. I mean, I've heard things, but what did they really do to him?
They had sex with him
When he was a kid?
I hate to say that. I hate to say that because I really like Justin Bieber. I feel bad for Justin Bieber. And this is when that happened if Justin Bieber came from a wealthy family. Justin Bieber pretty much came from a poor family, but the young man was so talented, and he could have been bigger than Michael Jackson. But the question of the drugs and the stuff he allowed these grown men to do to this little boy is unhealthy and it's fucked up. No grown men supposed to be getting high and doing drugs and drinking with a kid. I mean, you had grown men would take Justin Bieber. A grown man take Justin Bieber when he was young to a vacation, a romantic vacation, showing pictures on the Instagram with no women, nobody else but a grown, successful man and this little kid. And if you and I was going on vacation together, and regardless if wise, mad or not, it's definitely not going to be in me and you. It's going to be mad because we're going to have some there. Or I'm not going to be sitting on a romantic island, just you and me.
Hell
you
no.
know what I mean?
Hell no.
I'd rather take the chance of my girl saying, "Hey, you up there having parties and all, you right." She damn sure ain't gonna say this, you and I on a romantic island. That's one part about it is, everybody said what was done to Usher, and they done to Justin Bieber. And the thing with Usher spent the night and him and Puppy being in the same bed to do an album. They never did one song they put out at that time. On top of that, when I met Usher, I came on one time. I'm speaking to the guy because he got good songs. That's out of respect. Like young black man. This dude rolled his eyes at me. And so there was somebody came over and kept saying, "Suge, you know, don't have one of your guys do nothing to him. He a good young man, but him and Puffy got a thing. He a thing." He said, he gave me a look like, you know. And I thought about it. The way he rolled his eyes at me, it wasn't like somebody homie rolled it. It was like I beat up somebody's man. Like I beat his, you know, he the bitch. Like somebody to roll their eyes, like you beat my boyfriend up. I ain't speaking to you.
Really?
It's one of those, right?
Long before the chart-topping hits, Usher was a 13-year-old living with Sean Combs as his legal guardian. Diddy produced Usher's self-titled debut in 1994 and guided him into the music business. Usher has said he felt special, but he also admits he was too young to see the dark side of that mentorship. Now, after decades of success, he's joining Justin to expose the full truth of those early years, proof that even the brightest stars can be just kids lost in someone else's spotlight.
All this, he appeared on the televised talent show Star Search when he was 13 years old. Fun fact about that, he actually set the record for the longest note ever held by a child on Star Search, 12 seconds. So what happened? That got the attention of famed producer L.A. Reid. But according to his coaches, reportedly during puberty, when Usher's voice started to change, he kind of had trouble controlling his vocals. Now, L.A. Reid reportedly considered dropping Usher from his label, but when Usher begged him to stay on, Reid sent him to live with Sean Combs in New York for a year to train. And at the time, Combs, who was then known as Puff Daddy, we believe was in his 20s, there were these apparent training sessions. And these training sessions were known as Puffy Flavor Camp.
My golden ticket was my voice, and I lost it.
This girl is changing my mind, so what? I really don't care. I got a headache, you know, from doing all them high notes.
Hey man, it's just puberty, you're gonna go through it. But when you raise your voice to sing, and you could do it so easily, now it's not there, it's gone. And you don't know if it's gonna come back either. I waited all my life for this opportunity, so I performed before this audience. I think I may have ran about 10 miles. When I got back, my mother, she told me, I know this is hard, but we're gonna fight for it. We're gonna fight through it, and I'm gonna make sure that they don't drop you.
Usher was 13 to 14 years old at the time. Combs reportedly had legal guardianship over Usher during that period. Can't confirm that for sure. And since his time with Combs, Usher has worked with several other producers and record labels, and he's become one of the top-selling R&B artists of all time. His awards and nominations are almost too many to count. He's won 8 Grammy Awards, 18 Billboard Music Awards. He's been inducted into the Georgia Music Hall of Fame, star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Rolling Stone magazine recently named the album Confessions Part 2 as the #1 greatest R&B song of the 21st century. The magazine also ranked the song's music video among its 30 sexiest music videos of all time, and VH1 wrote that he was the best dancer in pop since Michael Jackson. And of course, Usher recently performed last year at the Super Bowl halftime show, so he's not just any musical artist, he is a superstar who, you gotta say, his success has been at least partially attributed to his time spent with Sean Combs. The two have been photographed together at different events throughout the years.
In 2004, when Confessions dominated charts, Usher told Rolling Stone that Diddy exposed him to unsettling scenes, orgies, couples in private rooms, things he couldn't process at 16. Back then, it sounded like swagger. Now, those memories are evidence in a collective effort to reveal a darker truth behind what seemed like wild fun for two teens. Usher's once dismissed words now serve as crucial testimony, reshaping their past into a narrative of exploitation rather than glamour.
Through the years, Usher has spoken about this time in his life with Combs. For example, in 2004, Usher told Rolling Stone that Combs introduced him to essentially sex. He said, quote, "Sex is so hot in the industry, man. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen." On the Howard Stern Show in 2016, Usher talked about his time with Combs too, saying there was definitely a lot of wild partying, but he doesn't think he was really able to understand what all was going on. And when Howard Stern asked him, would you send your own kids to something like Puffy Flavor Camp, this is what he had to say.
What
like
a
living.
life.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
14 years old. You're a dad now. Would you ever send your kid to Puffy camp?
Hell no.
See?
Usher also spoke with People magazine back in February, saying some of the most valuable lessons I could ever learn as an entrepreneur were picked up when I spent that time in New York with him. This unwavering desire to create and make certain that your creative ideas are executed. I saw him in real time working it out, him building something from nothing, him understanding how culture and collaboration can build careers, being able to see that. That's what I got.
We want to thank you. Come here. Don't sit on the bed at night. No homo. No, just don't get close to the bed. Don't get close. But it's just like, yo, we want to thank you for hosting the thing, man. It's been a pleasure. You didn't have to do it, and you did.
No. I definitely didn't have to do it. I definitely didn't have to. First and foremost, I'm not getting in the bed. Shout out to him and what he did. I'm just gonna, if we can, let's just put the camera a little this way, just so we're not. I don't want my shot to even I don't want it to come close to the bed at all. Usher look like he fresh off a goddamn plane. Fresh
off the garden stage. That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle off of the Frosted Flakes because he used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest stars in the world. And
what the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this but me. Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes. And we're streaming live. That was stupid. Listen, that was fucking stupid. Listen.
We're having a good time, yo. Usher made it.
2004, when Confessions was everywhere, Usher told Rolling Stone that Diddy introduced him to shocking scenes, orgies, couples in private rooms, things he couldn't process at 16. At the time, it sounded like bravado. Today, those memories fuel a joint effort to expose the darkness behind what once seemed like fast-lane fun. Years later, at his 35th birthday party, Usher thanked Diddy for everything: parties, women, sex, and drugs, calling it a wild ride he never let take over. Back then, it seemed like a loyal tribute. Now it reads like a conflicted teen masking confusion with gratitude. Usher, now older, wants the world to know he was just a kid, too young to consent to those experiences. Alongside Justin, he's ready to reveal the truth.
One of the allegations is that he forced individuals to take drugs and participate in sexual performances known as freak-offs, and to keep quiet about all of this. Now, Combs and his attorneys have denied that he did anything wrong, but thanks to allegations of witness tampering and fear he might flee, 2 different judges denied him bail. He's being locked up right now in the Metropolitan Detention Center out in Brooklyn. Many people are wondering what he might have seen at a young age when he lived with Combs in the 90s. This is a very common topic of conversation right now. Deep dives into the people surrounding Combs: Justin Bieber, Jennifer Lopez, Usher, so forth. What do they know? Will they be a part of any kind of case? Now, days before Combs was arrested, another of his apparent mentees filed a civil action against him, Dawn Richard. Dawn Richard is a former member of the girl group Danity Kane, and then she joined the trio group with Combs and another singer, Kalina Harper. It was called Diddy Dirty Money. She filed a lawsuit claiming that Combs sexually and verbally abused her for a decade. She also claimed that Combs owes her more than $3 million in unpaid salary and royalties, as well as unpaid wages for touring. And going back to Usher, Richard claims that Usher witnessed Combs' alleged abuse of his then-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Ventura had filed her own bombshell lawsuit last fall, seemingly kickstarting Combs' significant legal trouble.
On Howard Stern in 2016, Usher called Diddy's gatherings Puffy Flavor Camp and admitted very curious things happened behind closed doors. Back then, he laughed it off, but today those curious things sound like red flags. Usher and Justin now treat every past interview, every offhand quote as evidence. They're revisiting moments we once dismissed as industry stuff, revealing how 2 teens were steered into a world they never should have entered. What seemed like wild fun at the time now looks like exploitation. And this time, they're not shrugging it off. They're holding the man who led them there accountable.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year. It was curious. I got a chance to see some things. It was pretty wild.
Usher's past comments on Diddy now going viral.
These are places that a 13-year-old probably should not be.
In the wake of his former mentor's federal house raids.
I met Puffy a long time ago, around, 92?
Flash forward to 2016 on The Howard Stern Show, the singer recalling his wild memories of living with Diddy. who now faces serious legal trouble, including sex trafficking allegations.
We're sending you
New
over
York
to something
City.
called Puffy Flavor Camp.
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like?
You've
I
seen
went
it.
there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. It was pretty wild. There were very curious things taking place. And I didn't necessarily understand.
Yeah, but it had all of the freak off victims on it. You know, Usher was like, we were just sitting up there. Who's the next victim on the playlist? And he, you won't break my soul. You won't break my soul.
Damn. Can we talk? No, let me
Yo,
stop.
no.
Let me stop.
No, it was Confessions. They played Usher Confessions. Confess that Lifetime Achievement Award was a fucking hush payment for your fucking asshole and all of the many years of abuse. That wasn't no Lifetime. I'm still mad. People say, why you say that about Usher?
Oh. So,
I'm mad that people aren't more mad at Usher. Because somewhere along the way he went from a victim.
Justin was signed when he was just 13 years old, and I should mention he was signed by Usher to a label that was owned jointly by both Scooter Braun and Usher, and he was considered Usher's protege. He has been described Usher as his mentor, which is why his adorable premiere music video that I showed you guys last week, entitled One Time, they had created this storyline in which a young Justin Bieber is playing video games with his friends, and Usher calls him and says that he's running late. You know, his big bro Usher calls him, and then Justin Bieber does the teenager thing and throws a party while Usher is out. So take a look at the beginning of that music video now.
Oh, three! That was not luck, that was kill. Yo, I'm killing you. Yo, Usher.
JB, what's up, man?
I'm just playing video games with Ryan.
You think you can hold the house down till I get back?
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, my man.
Yo.
And that's how it starts. And then all of a sudden he has a party. And like I said, you can imagine for a 13-year-old kid, I think he's 14 in the video, what a big deal. You're with Usher, one of the princes of R&B, and now he's your mentor, and you're doing what you love, you're singing songs, and their long relationship has been well
Busby
documented.
told reporters that the future plaintiffs have, quote, legitimacy and merit thanks to corroborating evidence and witnesses. In fact, a former detective from the Houston Police Department has joined his firm to help vet people and their accounts. As Busby says that some have already even spoken with the FBI in connection with that agency's investigation into Sean Combs, and Busby says they're sharing all information that they come across. The allegations against Combs run the gamut from sexual assault and rape to false imprisonment to prostitution, and of the 120 individual plaintiffs that Busby plans to represent, he says 25 of them were minors when they say they were attacked.
You should know, in this group, it is evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs. In this group, 62% identify as African American, 30% are white, and the remainder are Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old.
As they unite in solidarity, Usher and Justin are making one thing undeniably clear. They were just kids, and they refuse to let the world overlook that fact. If this case reaches the courtroom, they'll bring every buried memory of fear, every stolen moment of innocence into the light, standing together so no one else endures what they survived alone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Want every update on this unfolding story? Every leaked clip, court filing, and new testimony? Hit like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss a development. We want to hear from you. What questions should Usher and Justin demand Diddy answer under oath? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. This story is far from over. We're committed to uncovering the full truth, no matter where it leads. The reckoning is just beginning.